How do I become a billionaire in real estate?
It generally takes you 5 years with the help of a mentor to be a millionaire. Anyone can do it. I think the easiest, hassle-free, quickest, most amount of money, no nonsense, like super simple, low-hanging fruit is the ADUs right now.
Makan, great having you on again today, buddy.
How are you?
I'm good.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
It only cost me $1,500 to be on this show, but it's worth it.
That's worth it. Every
Yeah.
penny. So how do I become a billionaire in real estate?
You start with $10 billion, you invest in cryptocurrencies, and you end up as a billionaire.
Ah.
Yeah. You wipe away 90% of your wealth and no, actually,
Yeah.
that's how I would do it.
What about hanging around brokies?
The brokies will definitely help you, go from a billionaire to a millionaire very quickly.
I like it.
Yeah. So I think the last time I was on your show, what was it, a year and a half ago?
Yeah, just about.
About
Andrew
80
Boostum.
pounds heavier. No, like 50 pounds heavier.
65.
65. And then was Andy, it was
Yeah.
like 40 pounds and now like
Yeah.
down 80 from the start
Yeah.
of the journey.
I'm going to do a side-by-side. You'll see the shrinkage.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then it grew somewhere else.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's all.
My feet for
Your
some
feet?
reason. Yeah, it got bigger.
Your golden gooses.
Yeah. The geese. They're now geese.
So people did watch the real estate stuff and the Andrew Bustamante stuff. Obviously, we need Andrew for the CIA stuff. But on the real estate side, what do you see that's trending right now in the real estate market with the political climate and everything going on now for just California or Southern California more specifically?
Southern Cal. Yeah. So 2025, I think there's a lot of segments that you can make a lot of money in. And I think the hottest segment and the easiest segment for a majority of people to dive into is the ADU market.
But how does someone that's only making 100 grand a year get into the ADU market right now?
That's the thing with it. It's a lot easier to get into it with even less income. Right now, I think the last few deals that I've analyzed, and I'm actually involved in 3 projects right now. I started in one to kind of test the water, and all the metrics were met, and I feel confident in it. That's why I doubled down and started 2 more projects to get to 3.
Wouldn't that be triple now?
What do you mean?
Since you have 3 projects.
Yeah, 3. It's each one slated to make about close to $1 million, $900 to $1 million
Over what period of time?
12 to 18 months maximum, from the acquisition to plans to permits to construction to refinancing the project to finishing the project. It's about 18 months from start to finish.
How much cash is required for this play?
For one, what I'm specifically doing is in Southern California, I'm looking to buy houses in the 650 to 750 range, and I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with a 7,500 square foot lot. What that allows me to do is I worked out all the numbers because of all the regulations and all the requirements, like lot coverage ratios. There's certain things that you have to meet, but basically what it boiled down to is the actual secret sauce of it is what I'll get into. It's you buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house and a 7,500 square foot lot. And when you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, that 3-bedroom, 2-bath gets you the highest amount of rent for the amount of investment. Obviously, if you have a 6-bedroom house or a 5-bedroom house, you get more rent, but your return on investment is not optimized. The optimal number is that 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Is that what you also build the ADUs to as well?
Yeah, I maxed those out too. Some ADUs, you can max out 1,200 square feet. I go 1,100 square feet. And what I do is I look for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for sale with a 7,500 square foot lot. And I want to make sure that house is around 1,100 to 1,200 square feet to begin with. And my max budget for the main house is $750,000. If I buy it for $650,000, I have $100,000 to put into the project to remodel the main house. If I buy it at $750,000, I kind of want the house to be in pretty good condition. Maybe have like $10,000 or $15,000 worth of cosmetic repairs necessary. Yeah, what I call lipstick on a pig type of repairs. And so once you're in the main house at $750,000 and it's remodeled, let's say you bought it for $650,000, you spend $100,000, it's remodeled now. You put a tenant in there between $4,500 to $5,000 a month. That's generally what you're getting in the B market areas. A market being Beverly Hills, Santa Monica. B market being like parts of the valley, like Canoga Park, North Hollywood, even some parts of East Hollywood. Just B markets are generally not as desirable as A markets. It's like the blue collar neighborhoods. So you get $4,500 a month rent, and then once the tenant's in that place, That usually covers your mortgage and might leave a little bit of profit in there. That gets you time so that you can submit your plans. And normally what I do is when I have the property in escrow, I already submit 4 plans for the ADUs because they take about 4 months from start to finish. So my plans are already submitted once I know I'm buying the house. I try to delay the escrow as long as I can, like push it to like 60 days, 45, 60 days, even though I can close it fast. And then while I'm purchasing the property, I'm finalizing the plans. And once I close escrow, I submit the plans to the city. Then I remodel the main house. And once the remodeling finishes, usually it takes about 45 days. I put a tenant in there and that tenant covers the mortgage. And then I have like another month and a half until I get my approvals for the ADU. And meanwhile, I'm doing all the site work for the ADU. I'm getting the trenches dug for the water, for the sewer, getting all that.
You can do all of that before the permits?
Yeah, because you're not really, like, you're just digging a hole. You know what I mean? You're digging a hole. You're getting your utilities kind of lined up.
What if you hit a gas line?
Let's not talk about that. It's a very sore subject. I actually got an email from yeah, it's
bad.
Let's not talk about that. So I can pause right here with the ADUs and real estate and talk about like the good and the bad.
Well, how does one who's only making 100 grand even get into the part of buying?
Now we've got 3 thoughts to kind of go in: the 100 grand, where we're at now, and then kind of like what ADD popped in my head of in real estate. It's not only like investments, raising money, building, fixing. You also have a whole another arm of lawsuits, theft, vandalism, litigation, evictions, all these things that you got to deal with as well that we'll get into later. But going back to the process, once I get the utilities kind of trenched in and my permits get pulled, then I build 2 ADUs. And both of these ADUs cost around $450,000 to $500,000 fully finished from start to finish. So I'm in the project $1,250,000.
Okay.
And $1,250,000, these are worth between $2 to $2.2 million when they're finished. And you could get between $4,500 to $5,000 a month rent for these ADUs. So you have $5,000 plus $4,500 for the main house. And usually for the main house, I do $4,500. I tell the tenant, look, it's $5,000, but I'll give you a break for $500 because I'm going to be doing construction in the back. So I give them my $500 break. And then once the construction is finished, then they go back to $5,000. So now you have 3 units bringing in $15,000 a month. That's $180,000 a year on a $1,250,000 investment. That's all in cost. That's worth $2.2 million. Now that's $1 million profit right there. So if you do 1 project, it's 18 months to make $1 million. If you do 3 at the same time, 18 months, then it's $3 million. And that's something you could do right away. Now, to answer your question, how does someone making $100,000 a year do that? Is on a $650,000 purchase, you obviously need the $100,000 for the remodeling, but you also need, let's say, 20 to 30% down if you don't have tax returns and you want to just go stated income. You can get a DSCR loan. DSCR loan is basically a rental investment loan. And the way that works is the rental income of the property or the potential rental income of the property is what's used to qualify for the mortgage. And generally, you need 20 to 30% down. So to answer your question, on a $650,000 purchase, if you go to a hard money lender and say, hey, I'm buying this house, I'm building ADUs on it, then they'll give you 90% of the total cost. So they'll finance the acquisition plus the construction. All you need is 10% of the deal. On a $1,250,000, you need $125,000.
Okay.
Let's say $150,000. Now, if you have $50,000 in reserves and you need another $100,000, then what you can do is you can go apply for business credit cards, like 4 or 5 business credit cards, and get a 0% introductory offer for 12 months or 18 months and get $100,000 in limits, whether it's 4 cards at $25,000 a piece or 5 cards at $20,000 a piece. You can get the line of credits there. Then go to a company called Plastique or Bill.com or even PayPal and use those services to transfer the credit cards as cash, as a purchase, into your checking account. And then you can use that interest-free for 18 months or 12 months to fund your project. Okay? So you need about $100,000 to $125,000 if you want to make $1 million. That's 10x your money in 18 months, 12 to 18 months. Now, you don't have to sell the project when you're finished. You could refinance after 12 months and pay off your credit cards and pay off the note and pay everything off and pull some cash out so you can do your next deal with cash. or you can just leave your money in there and just live off the revenue. Because at $1,250,000, your payment's going to roughly be around $7,000 a month, and your your gross income is going to be $15,000 a month. So you're probably going to net like $5,000 to $6,000 a month after all expenses after everything is done.
After 18 months of busting your butt to get it.
Yeah, you go through hell for 18 months, and then after you're done with that, then you have a positive cash flow of a minimum $5,000 a month after all expenses paid, meaning management fees, property taxes, insurance, mortgage, everything. And then you get
repairs, whatever.
Yeah, well, repairs, remember, you build a brand new property. So for three to 5 years, you shouldn't have any repairs. If you do, you can charge the tenant for it because it's probably a clogged drain or something like that. If it's construction defect repair issues, then you call the contractor and they'll repair it for you. So again, that's $5,000 a month. You do 3 of these, it's $15,000 a month. You do 10 of these, then you make $50,000 a month. And every year you bump up the rents 3%. So your income goes up, and then your debt goes down because you're paying down the principal on these, with your mortgage. So, and if you make 1 extra payment a year, you save 8 years of interest. So you really, in 22 years, you can have everything paid off.
Just by making 1 extra payment?
Yeah, 1 extra payment a year saves you 8 years of interest and drops your mortgage, a typical 30-year mortgage, down to 22 years. So there's a lot of little things you can do. Not a lot of little things. I mean, it's pretty like heavy duty shit that you got to do. Like you got to build, you got to buy, you got to like figure out. But the ideal floor plan for all of this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath main house, 7,500 square foot. Yeah, 2 full bath. 3-bedroom, 2-bath main house, 1,100 square feet, 1,200 square feet. You don't want an 1,800 square foot house because it's a lot of wasted square footage. You're not going to make any more. Like on an 1,800 3-bedroom, 2-bath, you're going to make 4,500. On a 1,200 3-bedroom, 2-bath, you're going to make 4,500. So you don't want that extra that extra square footage. It prevents you from being able to build bigger ADUs. And then your 2 ADUs, you want 1,100 square feet, 1,100 square feet, or even 1,200 square feet, 1,200 square feet, 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 3-bedroom, 3-bath. You want to put an ensuite in every single one of the units.
So you're going 3 on 3.
Yeah, because the older homes are typically 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's very hard to find an existing, housing stock of 3-bedroom, 3-bath. It's usually 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And you don't want 4-bedroom, 2-bath or 4-bedroom, 3-bath because they're usually 1,800 square feet. And you're limited to a 45% lot coverage ratio, which means no more than 45% of your lot can be built. So the ideal number, again, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, 1,200 square feet, 3-bedroom, 3-bath ADU, 1,200 square feet, 3-bedroom, 3-bath ADU, 1,200 square feet, total 3,600 square feet built on that 7,500 square foot lot. You're going to cap out and get the max amount of rents for that investment. Are all the
bedrooms the same size on the ADUs, essentially?
Pretty much, yeah. Everything's essentially around the same size. You want to make these ADUs all basically like roommate friendly.
Okay.
So that each roommate can pay $1,500 a month, and that becomes $4,500 a month. So $1,500, $1,500, $1,500. Everyone has their own private bath. Basically, you want to make it like roommate friendly.
So there's no like master bedroom compared to like the main house that would have 1 bedroom would be slightly bigger.
Yeah, the demographics that are usually moving into these are professionals, and they have roommates. So you want to make it roommate friendly, where large closet, walk-in bath with its own bathroom, ensuite, private ensuite, and then just 3 bedrooms, 3-bath, and a nice kitchen, open floor plan, high ceilings, really good insulation to keep the noise, keep it very quiet, and keep the insulation so that it's cool in the summertime. And
are you insulating the bedrooms as well?
For noise. Yeah.
The guest in the next room.
Yeah. So it's all the interior walls are insulated, and you want to just make sure it's like pin drop quiet.
I like it. Is there a garage?
No.
No garage?
No garage.
Parking.
Well, there's storage inside the units, but like you don't need to put a garage. A lot of them, if you're building next to a transit-oriented location, which means it's like a major bus stop or within a half a mile distance of a major bus stop, then you can forego parking even and just build without parking. And a lot of newer construction units are without parking, as long as they're close to transit. Don't ask me why. They just do this.
I was like, wait a minute. There's 9 bedrooms essentially on this lot.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say all 9 people drive.
Remember, it's a residential neighborhood. It's not like an apartment building after apartment building after apartment building where there's like no parking to begin with. This is a residential neighborhood. Everyone has driveways. Everyone has garages. You're one unit, like you're one property in this sea of single family residences doesn't have a garage. So like people park on the driveway and on the street.
Okay.
There's plenty of parking.
Is there a driveway?
Well, yeah, the main house is going to have a driveway.
Okay.
And then you just build the units in the back, in the garage. Ideally, if it has an alley in the back, that's fantastic, because then those tenants can access it from the back. Or if it's a corner property, like bonus points for corner properties, because the corner properties, you have a main entrance and then you have a side entrance. That's like ideal scenario.
That's your dream situation.
That's like the
Holy grail.
Yeah, the holy grail. You got the 3-bedroom, 2-bath house on a 7,500 square foot lot and a corner lot. That is, can we say wet dream?
Yeah.
That's a wet dream. Like a real estate wet dream. Yeah. Well, I mean, when I see it, I just like foam at the mouth. I'm like, oh, put the offer in.
I can't with you.
I'm sorry. You said the truth hurts.
So what's next after ADUs?
I think right now I strongly feel like I've done a lot of projects. I've done high-end residential, $40 million property. I've done apartment buildings built out of shipping containers. Master lease with the city of LA, all Section 8 tenants. And I think the easiest, hassle-free, quickest, most amount of money, no nonsense, like super simple, low-hanging fruit is the ADUs right now. And I see this going on for like probably the next, I don't know, like 2 years, unless some new regulatory.
Just because we have a housing shortage here?
Oh, yeah. For every one landlord presenting a vacant unit, there's always 10 prospective tenants looking to lease that space. So there's there's huge demand. Now. Yeah, there's huge demand.
You prefer ADUs over
prospective tenants? What?
You prefer ADUs over like an apartment building?
Yeah, I built an apartment building, and I'll just tell you, like, I wanted to kill myself. An apartment building takes 18 months for the plans to get approved, and it takes 2 years to build. You're almost like 4 years in the project.
Before you see $1.
Yeah. And then you have to deal with handicap, meaning you need to put like elevators and you need to put handicap parking spaces, and 10% of the units have to be handicap accessible. And then you have like the fire department that requires a whole bunch of fire department. Anytime you go over 3 units, there's like a whole set of rules that get hit to your project, and then it just drives the cost up. So dollar for dollar, the highest rate of return on investment is ADUs, like beyond. It's almost double the rate of return than building an apartment building or building anything right now. Anything I've done, like my cash on most of these projects is 25%. Cap rate is over 10%. And this is in the city of Los Angeles, where typical cap rate is like 5%. If you're lucky if you build a 6.5, 7 cap. And ADUs are running at like 10, 11, 12 caps for me on the projects that I'm doing. It's just like, I built an apartment building and we did it at a yield on cost of 7.5, which is essentially a cap rate. A yield on cost is like your total construction plus divided by the rate of return. And that was a 7.5. And I was like, holy crap, we hit it out of the park. In the city of LA to go 7.5 yield on cost, it's really, really good. And ADUs are like 10, 11, 12%. Anyone can do it. You can do owner build. You don't have to have a contractor's license, so you can pull the permits yourself. You could GC the project yourself. Yeah, it's residential and it's an ADU. And the city has a maximum allotted timeline of approving your plans. And typically it takes 4 months. It's supposed to be quicker than that, but because of all the clearances from like the DWP, from fire department, all the clearances take about, that pushes it out a little bit, but from start to finish is about 4 months. And if you start your plans when you're in escrow and you submit your plans there, you're just kind of going simultaneous with the escrow time. So that's by far the best.
So you do start plans before you close?
Yeah, and I typically recycle the plans. So the same plans I used on my first ADU, on the 2 new deals that I bought, I use the same 2 plans on those same 2 ADUs. So
you have to tweak it ever so slightly for the lot configuration?
Yeah, a little bit. And then you modify, because when you're building something, you're like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe I should have done this. So you modify those plans and you're like, hey, reiterate on the next one. And then you do that.
Why not do Airbnbs?
Oh, I did Airbnbs. Boy, did I learn my lesson doing Airbnbs. So 2014, 10 years ago, when nobody had heard of Airbnbs, I had the brilliant idea of doing Airbnbs because one of my business partners wanted to manage an Airbnb company. And I was like, what is the concept of this? He's like, oh, we're short-term rentals. It's like we're a hotel. And I was like, okay. So I turned one of my apartment buildings into a full Airbnb.
A whole apartment.
A whole apartment, yeah. And then, we were basically making 3 times the amount of rent. So if the rental on a property was $2,000 a month, you would take home about $6,000 a month per unit.
Not a bad debt.
Exactly. So I was like, hey, this is brilliant.
Say less.
Say less. Here are the keys. Let's do more. Ramped it up to 22 units
Okay.
of Airbnb. And you can imagine each Airbnb unit typically has about 22 check-ins a month. So check in, check out, you got to clean, you got to get the unit prepared for the next tenant. So if you have 22 units,
you're sending a maid to like clean everything every time.
Not just one, because you have like your window of 11 o'clock checkout, 3 o'clock check-in. And if you have like 20 units all over
you
town.
Got like 10.
Yeah, I had units in Long Beach, in Anaheim, in LA, in Hollywood, in Van Nuys, in North Hollywood, in Studio City,
Oh, so you had
and
maids
Hollywood, and Venice. Yeah, and the management team is all over the place managing this. I didn't manage any of it. I was just more like an outside investor on them. And as the market started getting competitive by like 2017, 2018, and there's a lot of wear and tear on your properties too. Like most people don't know, there's like a ton of wear and tear.
compared to a regular rental.
Yeah, 1 year in an Airbnb is like 5 years with a normal tenant.
Why so high?
It just, people don't care. They think it's a hotel. They lie. One person brought in like 15 people in one unit. They throw parties. I mean, there's no way to catch it, like they come in with like this clean, polished profile, and you're like, yeah, sure, go on in. And then when you're doing so many, you put lock boxes on the property. You're like, here's a code, go in, check out, take pictures if there's anything wrong. So you can't really fully manage everything. Long story short, long story longer, actually. In 2018, it was Thanksgiving. I'm sitting on my couch watching TV, just relaxed. I get a phone call from a block number. I ain't picking up a block number. And then it was like 15 minutes later, I get a call from my property manager. And I'm going, oh, shit. Block number. And now a call from my management company. I talked to the management company. They say, hey, the police department called. SWAT team went to the unit. They kicked down the door. There was a shooting at the building. And I'm going, oh, my God.
This is on
Thanksgiving. And then, so it's in
full
Hollywood. What?
Did you at least eat dinner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I drive to Hollywood. And I see the door is completely busted down, like rammed, like fucking
they use
LA.
the battery.
Oh, yeah. The neighbors are like, what happened? The helicopters and the news and machine guns and police. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And I'm like, God damn it. This is the last time I'm fucking doing Airbnbs. I get in the unit. The unit is freaking clean. And I'm like, why is the unit so clean, but there's like a door that's been busted?
So the inside's not damaged.
Not at all. There's a magic broken window there's a broken door.
But you do need a new door jamb at this point.
A whole door, not just a jam, like a whole door.
Yeah.
So I call a few people. I'm like, yo, I need you guys come. Because it's Hollywood. And at the time, LA was like full of homeless people.
Yeah.
And like the minute the doors open, boom, you got homeless row. And then, so I had this Saudi couple staying in one of the units, paying like $1,000 a night. 7 of the units were rented with Airbnbs and families. And I'm like, one's had a small issue. So we removed the door. We're downstairs fixing it. And then I see this car drive up. And I'm looking at this guy, and this guy's staring at me. And I'm like staring at them. I'm like, what the fuck was that? Car parks, and I see like 7 guys walk towards me with their hands in their
great
vest. And I'm like, oh, this doesn't look good. And then one of the guys like, hey, fool. And I'm like, oh no, this is not good at all. And then he goes, hey, someone shot my brother in that building. I want to get in that building. I'm like, I'm just the building repair guy. I'm fixing a door. Luckily, I had this giant monster of a dude helping me with like the repair. And he looks at me. He goes, you want me to get out of the car? I'm like, yeah, get out of the fucking car. He gets out of the car. This guy looks like Debo from Friday, like 6'8", cross-eyed, like monster, tatted up. And his name's, we're not going to say his name, but he gets out of the car, and then they see him. They're like, they calm down a little bit. And I'm like, fuck, there's going to be a shootout here. He goes, hey, and the guy's crying. And he's like, we're from Stockton. My brother-in-law got shot here. And I'm going, oh my fucking God. And it looked like the guy was going to shoot up the whole fucking building. And I'm like, dude, I don't have access to anything. The cops were already here. I don't know anything. Just, leave me alone. Long story short, the situation gets diffused. They leave. We fix the door, put the door back. And I'm like, holy shit, this is like the worst fucking thing ever. And then they leave, we fix the door, everything is said and done. And I'm like, I'm never doing Airbnb again. This wasn't the first time SWAT team showed up. This was the second time. I should have learned my lesson the first time. First time, it was a property in Van Nuys, and I get a call from one of my tenants that says, hey, the news is here. There's helicopters overhead, and the SWAT team's going to kick down the door. And I'm like, don't have them kick down the door. Let me drive up to the place. I'll open the door for them. I'll give them the keys. I haul ass at 7 a.m. from Studio City to Van Nuys. I get to Van Nuys. The whole street's cordoned off with tape and everything. I tell the officers, can I get in? I own the house over there. You guys are there. They let me through. The detectives are there. They're like, do we have permission to search the place? I'm like, yeah, here's the key. Don't break down the door. Dude, like 40 officers go in. They arrest every single person inside the unit. They bring them all out. There's like 15 people in the unit. And I'm like, 7 a.m? How are you guys partying 7 a.m? And then what happened is, I guess someone called a noise complaint. They slammed the door on the cop, and the cop thought she heard a gun rack.
Oh,
so she called SWAT. Helicopters came, and then they wouldn't open the door for them. Long story short, there was no gun in the property. It was just like a misunderstanding. That should have been my first warning. That's when I should have stopped. Exactly 6 months later, the shooting happens at a different property.
So did you sell the
Hollywood
buildings?
Well, yeah, long story short, like the situation got resolved. And then after that, I was like, okay, I'm done with Airbnb. This is like enough. What I learned with Airbnb, it was all mostly like what you could tell. It's like, it's just more hassle, more headache. Like everything could be great. And then you have that one problem, and it's not like a little problem. It's like a monster problem. You know what I mean? And you're like, man, this ain't worth it. So I've done everything and anything in real estate, from the most basic to the most complex, to like, you name it, I've done it and I've experienced it. And like, I can tell you stories for days.
So you're saying we should start Airbnbs tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah, absolutely.
Maybe we'll pick a different state, Texas.
Everyone's got guns in Texas, man. I wouldn't do it.
That's why you don't have to worry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Airbnbs was a nightmare. Building out of shipping containers. Man, I thought like I can build some apartment buildings out of shipping containers. This will be easy. And then come to find out,
like playing Tetris?
Yeah. Come to find out, we're calling for permit inspections. The building inspectors come on site. They're like, never seen one of these built before. I don't think I have jurisdiction to sign this off. I'm like, what do you mean you don't have jurisdiction to sign this off? Like, who the hell's supposed to sign this off? Like, we need to move on to the next phase of construction. They're like, yeah, I got to go look into this. Month goes by, they come back and they're like, yeah, I don't have jurisdiction inside the unit. I only have jurisdiction outside of the unit. I'm like, but I need something signed off inside the unit, not outside the unit. And so like total shit show. That was supposed to take like 18 months, and that took 5 years to build.
Because of just...
Yeah, we went $1.5 million over budget. We had to put in a fire hydrant that cost $400,000. We had to bring in...
A fire hydrant?
One fire hydrant. Delayed me for 6 months and cost $400,000.
Was it golden?
No, should have been.
Did they give you a blowjob?
No, I had to give the city one.
Huh.
Yeah, it was the opposite.
Shit.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, real estate's fun, but like everyone sees like, oh my God, it's so easy.
They see the glitz and the glamour. They don't see the trenches.
Yeah. Who is it? This Pena guy? You know, the guy's always yelling, the old guy.
Yeah.
He goes, success is great, but no one sees how many times success is like pregnancy.
Nobody knows how many times you had to get fucked.
Yeah, before you got successful. And I'm like, that's so true. So everyone sees the real estate side. Like they see the Rolls Royces, they see the Lambos, they see all the success, the yachts, the private jets. They don't see the lawsuits, the all the litigation that goes on, the evictions, the attorneys back and forth, the city back and forth,
the repairs,
the violations, the violations, the repairs, the the vandalism. Dude, vandalism is like one of the most, like on your sheets, on your finance sheets, you really need to have like a small budget for vandalism. I can't tell you how many times my project in downtown LA got vandalized. Like we built the forms for foundation. We literally go out to lunch. We come back, the boards are missing. Like you build it again, you come back the next day, someone took all the wood and made fire. You know, I had one guy come on one of my job sites and say, "Oh, I own this place. You need to leave." Like crazy guy too, like crazy eyes. He's like, "I own this place. You're on my property." I'm like,
What do you do in that
"You
situation?
leave and you call the cops." I'm not gonna sit there and argue with a crazy person.
Why not? You can be
No.
crazy with them.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. You know what it's like? It's like wrestling with a pig. You both get muddy, except the pig likes it. So you never wrestle with a pig, man.
Except that one time.
Well, yeah. Yeah. So, any more fun questions you like me answer on this Truth Hurts show?
Pig likes it.
Yeah, you never wrestle with a pig because you both get muddy, but the pig enjoys it. It's like a bummer. Why it's a bummer to be an egg.
So how do you feel about commercial real
Let me
estate?
tell you why it's a bummer to be an egg. It takes you 7 minutes to get hard. You come in a box with 11 other dudes. The only person that you get to sit on your face is your own mother. I think those are the only reasons why it's a bummer being an egg.
So how do we feel about commercial real estate?
Commercial real estate is great, except right now it's not so great. A lot of
Vacancies.
Well, not just that. There's a lot of syndicators. Syndicators are guys that raise a lot of money, like real estate private equity. They raise a lot of money and they invest in like large projects. And over the last 2 years, as interest rates have gone up, liquidity has dried up a little bit and the rates have gone in. A lot of guys went in on floating rates in like the 5 and 6% rates, and those rates have climbed up to 9, 10%. And a lot of those loans are coming due. And there's a lot of commercial loans coming due in 2025, and a lot of lenders investors and syndicators that raised a lot of debt and got into a lot of big projects are like having a very, very difficult time. So commercial real estate for guys that bought in late 2021, 2022, and even 2023 are facing some major headwinds. But the guys that bought 2017, 2018, 2019, they're relatively okay. But there is a softening in the rents. There is a softening in the market. And it's a great opportunity if you're sitting on some cash and you want to expand your portfolio to do it. Now, with that comes a lot of regulatory issues in the multifamily space. So multifamily has a lot of headwinds per se because of regulatory. So you have city council passing a lot of tenant-friendly laws that make it very difficult for landlords to do a few things. It's great because it's great for one point where it helps the tenants and gives the tenants more sense of security, but it doesn't really promote the root cause of the problem. And the root cause of the problem is a housing shortage. You have to make it easier to build, and therefore landlords will build more. But because
it's so difficult
to build, and there's regulatory issues. So when it comes to commercial real estate, multifamily, I would stay out of. In the city of Los Angeles, there's a ULA tax, which is a tax on anything that's over $5 million.
This is commercial or
residential, but a lot of commercial properties are 5 million plus. So that makes it very challenging to invest in Los Angeles City. So a lot of investors are going outside of the city of Los Angeles to like Orange County or San Bernardino, Riverside, or Ventura, or even out of state altogether, or keeping it under 5 million. But it's very difficult to do deals under 5 because there's just no margin there. You know, you need projects 10 million, 15, 20 million above in commercial to make some money, a decent amount of money. Because 10% on 5 million is 500,000, but 10% on 50 million is $5 million. And you got a team of like 15 people that you got to support, and you're raising capital and you're paying fees and rent and overhead. You need those higher margins. So but with commercial, it's a little tricky right now. You really have to be very experienced and know the market and know the regulatory issues before you invest. But again, it's always a good time to invest, in my opinion. I make money when the market goes down, and I make money when the market goes up. The real secret to success in real estate is information. It's not timing the market. It's not time in the market. It's just information. He who has the gold makes the rules. And the rule in real estate is knowledge. You have to be very, very, very well versed in your market. You have to know your market, and you'll always be able to create margins and create profit in real estate. Real estate's, I think, the only thing where insider trading is 100% legal. In the stock market, like Martha Stewart, you go straight to prison. But in real estate, it's like rewarded and you make a lot of money. Insider information, like the city council is going to pass an ordinance that's going to make X more valuable, like a neighborhood more valuable, because they're going to change the zoning. It's going to up the density. And if you buy a house today, in 6 months, it's going to triple in value. you have access to that information. It's just in 1,000 pages, and you have to go through city council and listen to all these meetings and find that information. But it's public. You can get it. You can even get insider information. Like you can ask a city councilman, hey, how do you feel about this new ordinance? Oh, yeah, we're going to pass it next week. Oh, okay, great. Then you could go buy. You know what I mean? There's nothing illegal about that.
No, you just got the information early.
Yeah. And a lot of brokers have a lot of access to information. So when you do work with commercial real estate brokers or just brokers in general, they're worth their weight in gold. Like you always want to work with a broker. You always want to make sure your brokers are well taken care of because they're the ones that have access to the deals. Yeah, they make commission, but these guys will make you millionaires. They'll make 100 grand on a deal, but you'll make $5 million on that deal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you always want to make sure you have a good, strong relationship with your brokers. Treat them like family. When they cold call you, like answer their calls and talk to them and feel them out. And you will get rewarded. I've bought almost all of my deals on market through brokers, and I sell all my deals through brokers. Even though I'm a broker myself, I don't list any of my own properties. I work with brokers exclusively, and if they bring me a deal, I always resell it through them, and I always reward them. And anytime I do get a listing of my own that I want to sell, I'll work with the brokers because I know I want the deal flow from them. So as long as you are smart, educated, and you have the information on where you want to invest and you have a good network of brokers, any time is really good for you to invest in commercial real estate. I'll invest in any market at any time.
But what about all the vacancies you're seeing on the commercial side of just retail space right now?
That still creates an opportunity. Look, price is only an issue in the absence of value. So if like for example, if you see a vacancy, okay, and they're asking $3 a foot rent, you drop it to $2 a foot rent, it's going to get leased out. So when you're analyzing that deal and you know where and again, the market will bounce back to $3 and it'll go to like $4. You know what I mean? So if you're analyzing a deal and there's a lot of vacancies, well, lower your basis on the leases, lower those numbers and then pencil out the deal and see if you, instead of paying $2.5 million, pay $2 million for it. Sure, they may not accept your offer, but you could put offers in 30, 40, 50 different properties and see what sticks. And all you need is that one deal to stick. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? One deal can change your life. So, and the broker's doing all the work. They're typing up the contracts, they're doing everything. You just docu-signing, click, 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 and they have your financials. You know what I mean? They're doing all the work. So just put out offers and analyze and underwrite your deals to where you are in the market. If the market is saying there's a shitload of vacancies, well, cut the rents in half. And I guarantee you won't be vacant. You know what I mean? So True. That's what I would do. Again, none of that really bothers me. As long as you know that. Now, with a grain of salt, obviously, if you're in a market that's declining, people are walking around with teeth missing, crackheads, homeless people, and the market's crashing and the unemployment is soaring and everyone's leaving and fleeing an area, obviously that's not a great place to invest. But in a normal, typical market where you're in like, for example, Southern California or Los Angeles or a major metropolitan area like Miami, New York, Dallas, any of those major markets where you're pretty much insulated and you have a lot of jobs and there's a lot of diversity in the market, then yeah, if you have a high vacancy area, it's just cyclical. It'll bounce back. And as long as you have enough reserves to offset maybe a downturn, like a 1 year, 2 year downturn, you'll be fine. And then when the upturn is where you really, really make your money.
As we close, any final thoughts?
We have to close?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any final thoughts for the new people that are getting into real estate that they should be looking out for?
In real estate, it generally takes you 5 years with the help of a mentor to be a millionaire. If your mindset is, I'm going to be a millionaire in 6 months or 1 year, it's just not going to work out. Statistically, it's not going to happen.
What if I want to be a billionaire in a year?
Oh, yeah, that'll totally work. Okay. Yeah. Marry rich.
Marry rich. Got it.
And then get a divorce without a prenup. But just generally speaking, it's very difficult. It's very challenging. And you want to give yourself 5 years. And if you're just starting out in real estate, I would go work at a brokerage, maybe Marcus and Millichap or one of the commercial brokerages or a residential brokerage. Work under a high performer. That will teach you how to find deals, how to negotiate deals, what things to look for. Like when you work at a commercial real estate or residential real estate firm, you see deal flow and you see a ton of deal flow. If you're an investor, you'll probably buy 1 or 2 properties a year. If you're a broker and you work under a heavy hitter, you'll see 10 transactions in a month. What that teaches you is, what are these investors putting in those contracts? What verbiage is being used? What verbiage protects them? What verbiage hurts them? And how are they financing their deals? Because you see their financials, you see their
You have
pre-approvals.
everything.
Yeah, you see like these top 10 guys are all going to this one bank and this one bank officer. You build a relationship with that officer. Hey, I'm a broker. I'll send you deals. What can you do? Hey, I'm looking to do a deal on my own. So you build all these relationships. You build relationships with escrow companies, with title companies. Just because of the deal volume, you gain a lot of experience, you see? And then when you go on your own, you have a much higher chance of success because you already know how to structure your offers. And you also know how to structure your entities. You know, when you see everyone's formed in LLC and they have a GPLP element in their LLC, and then you go on TikTok and you see this guy's like, oh, I have an LLC and a land trust and a living trust and a blah, 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 and a blah, blah, blah. You're like, dude, you're smoking crack. All the investors that are like 100 million, 50 million, $1 million investors that I'm working with that are actively buying are all LLCs, GPLPs, and they do umbrella policy. And that's it. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy, just very simple. And which attorney do they use? Here, this guy's like $500 an hour. Call that attorney, set this up for me. And you're right there. But you get a lot of free information working there. And all you need is, 1 or 2 years at a reputable firm to really gain a lot of experience. You get like 10 years worth of experience all in that 1 year because of this transaction volume. And then, then shift it over to an investment and go on your own and do stuff on your own. But I think once you work at a brokerage, you have so much fun, you still will have time to invest on your own so that you can still be involved in the game and you can have access to all that information, real life market information, and then do investments on the side on your own.
I like it.
That'll give you a highest chance of success because the attrition rate in real estate is about 80%. So 20% only make it. And it takes you 5 years to be a millionaire. So the odds are stacked against you if you think it's just going to be super easy and you can do it on your own.
So it's not a cakewalk.
It's a super cakewalk. Yeah, it's really easy. Everyone should do it.
Where can people find you to get more information on real estate? I know you've been posting more about it lately.
Yeah, because you told me to.
Yeah, I did.
And and you've been helping me a lot with that. Thank you for that. So it'll be Makan, MAKAN _ Mostafavi on Instagram. YouTube is Makan Mostafavi on YouTube. What else? TikTok? I don't know. TikTok is Makan Mostafavi. Everything's Makan Mostafavi. I think you can put the link in the bio here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here.
See you guys next time.